Welcome to our March 18, 2026 public forum. Please note this meeting is being live streamed via Council's website and your image and voice may be broadcast. Attendance at this meeting is taken to be consent by you for your image and voice being live streamed. All speakers should refrain from making any defamatory comments or releasing any personal information about another individual without their consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from defamatory comments made by persons attending this meeting. All liability will rest with the individual who made the comments. A recording of the meeting will be published on Council's webpage for the balance of the Council's term or for 12 months from the meeting, whichever is the later, and retained as a Council record. Individuals acting in a disorderly manner can be asked to leave the meeting under Council's Code of Meeting Practice, and this meeting must not be recorded by others without the prior written consent of the Council in accordance with the Council's Code of Meeting Practice. So we have on the agenda 3 speakers, but only 2 are currently in attendance, and the speakers have 3 minutes to present. And first up, we've got Tony. Would you like to go first? We have Tony Smith, and that's in relation to Finley Golf Club, and that's for item 8.13. Tony, go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Berrigan Shire, Mayor and Councillors. My name is Tony Smith and I'm the current President of the Finley Golf Club. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm here to respectfully ask for the support in providing water access for our fairways and greens, something that is essential to the survival of our club. Unlike larger clubs such as Brugger Sporties and Club Tokemore, Finley Golf Club operates very differently. We have just one paid employee, our greenskeeper, and we don't have the additional income streams that come from poker machines, large pro shops, or extensive hospitality services. What we do have, however, is something incredibly special. We are powered by more than 60 dedicated volunteers who give their time freely, that maintain the course, run the bar, clean the clubhouse and cater for events, for social gatherings to wakes and supporting our community through both the good times and the difficult ones. Finley Golf Club is more than just a golf course. It is a community hub. We pride ourselves on being inclusive and welcoming to everyone, regardless of age, gender or ability. For many, our club is a place of connection, friendship, belonging, and it is quite simply a home away from home. We are also deeply committed to mental health and wellbeing events like our Wellbeing Golf Day and Pink Day and other community initiatives. Bringing people together, raising awareness and providing support in ways that go far and beyond sport. Without reliable and affordable water, we cannot maintain our course to the standard that attracts players and visitors. A declining course quality will inevitably lead to the fewer patrons, reduced income and increased financial pressure. If we are forced to divert our already limited funds to cover water costs, it will directly impact our ability to meet essential expenses such as insurance, maintenance and the ongoing operation of the clubhouse. More importantly, it risks the loss of the vital community space, one that plays a significant role in the social and mental wellbeing of our region. Considering that we operate with only one paid staff member, rely so heavily on our volunteers, I believe we're an exceptional example of what a small community club can achieve. We're not just asking for water, we are asking for support to continue providing a place where people can connect, contribute and thrive. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Tony. Does anyone have any questions for Tony? Councillor Hannan?
I've got a couple of questions. Thanks for that, Tony. Can you just enlighten us to any programs that you deliver at the golf course to increase participation, especially through the juniors?
At the moment, last year they did a school, had the school a part of it. It's really hard to get younger kids involved in it. It sort of goes through the school. We have junior members, junior players that do play with us. On the other side of that, Matthew, we also have a couple of other things opening up. We do boxing sessions down at the golf club for junior members that are a part of the Finley Football Club that we've just started in the last 6 weeks as well. So we're trying to bring them younger kids there, but like I said, it comes through the schools, and trying to organise it with schools is really difficult sometimes, especially because we're not open 24/7. There is people in contact with, like our match committee, in contact with the schools all the time, trying to get them to come down.
Cool. And the other one is, and maybe John might be able to assist you in answering this one, what's the strategic outlook for the club for the next, say, 5 years in trying to secure water? Because as we know, and we're led to, well, not led to believe, but whether we believe it or not, but the weather conditions are going to be extreme either way, whether it's really, really hot or it's going to be a lot of rain. So is that something the club's talking about and trying to plan for?
Yeah,
the future?
that's John's going to be talking about that
Cool.
stuff when he's
Okay,
up, Matthew.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
well, he's already got the question, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, Tony. I'll invite John Taylor to join us from Finley Golf Club also. Thank you, John.
For those that don't know me, I'm John Taylor and I serve as the Vice President of the Finley Golf Club, and this is a familiar place to me. There's just a few points that I'd like to add to what Tony said. Approximately 4 or 5 years ago, when I was serving as a councillor, there was a grant from the Berrigan Shire of $200,000. And just to explain what happened, the $200,000 was originally granted on the basis that it was going to be used to buy all the equipment to irrigate the fairways. We had a lot of volunteers who were, and our greenskeeper, they were coming and they were working in 40-degree heat, changing sprinklers. So it was actually almost, apart from making it more orderly, it perhaps even was needed for the health of the people that did the work. In fact, what happened was the grant was to cover 9 holes, but the club decided and put it to council that the $200,000 could buy all of the equipment and they would do all the work. So over a period of 1 to 2 months, they installed all the equipment. We had plumbers and various labourers that did the work, and subsequently that has been extended. They did the 18 holes. It's made a huge difference. But it's been extended several times. In my own opinion, there may have been $1 to $1.5 million worth of value that's arisen from that grant, which was a great partnership between council and the club. The other thing that I'd like to point out is that Finley Golf Club has a close association with one of your 355 committees, the Showground Reserve. The volunteers do a lot of, I think they do all the mowing, but they share equipment and they work together. And that's a real positive. I note in the papers you mentioned that Finley Golf Club receives it uses the wastewater, but there are, I think, 3 other clubs, Tocumwal, Cobram Barooga, and I think Berrigan too, that have access to stormwater. But Finley doesn't have access to stormwater, and I might just refer to that at the end when I come back to you.
We've just got another minute to go, John.
Okay, well perhaps I'll try and get to... Can I just indicate one of the reasons we're here is we have enough water to get through to winter. But one of our concerns is, and we've seen it in the past, whether it be floods or droughts, clubs have lost greens. Each green, conservatively to replace would cost at least $20,000. We don't want to go through. So one of the reasons we're here is, in some ways, to answer Matthew's question, is that we want to, in a sense, try and do what we can to drought-proof the course. We recognise that you're able to sell your water and it's valuable to you. And although we would appreciate that, I have a couple of suggestions that you might consider as an alternative. One is that you might consider us having access to stormwater. I understand that the pipe is close, so that might be mutually beneficial. The second thing is, we know that you have a memorandum of understanding with some of the other organisations within the Shire. We would like you to consider doing that with our club, which we think has a fundamental role within the community, particularly the Finley community.
John, I need to unfortunately give you 5 seconds more.
Okay, so the final thing that we'd ask for is that you consider entering into that understanding on the basis there be a recognition of our need for help. If there was a drought circumstance, that you would look to assisting us. And we have a water right, but it's all general security. So if you would consider that, and we're grateful that you've listened to us. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, John. Were there any additional questions? And we're running very tight on time now. No? Okay. Thank you, John. And next we've got Tony Tranter from Cobram Barooga Golf Club, Sporties Barooga. We do need to get our council meeting started, so we're running very tight on time, Tony. Sorry.
Do I get my 3 minutes?
It's 3 minutes and I might stretch it to 4.
No, I'll get going then. And mindful of the 3 minutes, I won't sort of mess around too much, but thanks for the time. And look, it was great to hear the Finley guy. So I guess for us, we're probably talking in our own context, but we probably think the support of golf is pretty important, and certainly even for us, we are in a bit of a different situation. We just wanted to have a bit of a state of a case, but we even acknowledge the difference between what we're able to do and even someone like Finley's able to do. So seriously, even we would rather see something go that way than our way. But we still think there's a pretty good case to be made. So to try and keep a bit of context around it, I think why would the Sporties, well, I'll come back at the end of this anyway, be coming to talk to the council about support with water, and the two, in large terms, I guess it's really around partnerships to us. I think we're on record now, our two organisations, we have an MOU in place and we do this, of just having a really good record of partnering on some amazing things. And in the context of that, I kind of look at this as potentially being an extension of that, how we, on our own, you know, in our communities, we're both kind of pretty big and we do a lot, but in the global scale of things, we're both pretty small. And I just genuinely think that together we can achieve way more stuff than either of us can on our own. And this is one of those opportunities to do stuff like that. Some examples for us where we think we're a good partner in those regards is obviously, you know, the Sporties continues to look after the Barooga Recreation Reserve. We think we put about $80,000 to $90,000 a year in our time and effort in that to maintain those, and we've done that for, I think, the history of the club, 40 or 50 years. We partner with council on an events program where we both match funds effectively. We get 60 grand from the Moira Shire. Berrigan put in 30, but so does the Sporties. But the Sporties team through Cobram Barooga Business Tourism also coordinate that. And we think that brings genuine economic benefit through those 10 events, which we talk to you guys about every year. And we think we're a pretty good partner and we lead the way in that. We think that's important. And then obviously the aquatic centre, the indoor aquatic centre in Barooga is another great example where the Sporties, you know, does something that we don't think any other club probably in such a small community does. Due to power costs, water costs, staff costs, this year that's going to cost about 400 grand. It actually costs 5 because of the good partnership again we have with Berrigan and the Moira Shires. We get 100, we get 50 each. But the Sporty still carries the most of the load, as we should. We build it and we own it. But that operates at about a $500,000 subsidy, of which the Sporties contributes about $400 a year. There's another 200 on top of that if we have to look after depreciation and fixing stuff up. I don't need to go too much into, so the partnership, I think we just can do good stuff together, and we've got a history of it. The value of golf, we really reflect the stuff the Finley guys have talked about. We've got about 600 members in town. That probably compares really well, I reckon, to any other green field space sport. If you look at local people playing, whether
Give
you're
you a
talking about
1 minute
footy,
warning,
netball,
Tony,
cricket.
sorry.
Oh,
1
like a
minute.
minute. Okay. But the tourism stuff I won't go into because hopefully you know. But it generates benefits way bigger than our club. The tourism benefits, which I won't go into. I'll assume you're across most of that stuff. Why do we need water? Well, we generally don't. It's only in periods like the guys at Finley said, we have been responsible with water. We own a fair bit of water. We own enough water to get through probably 5 or 6 of every 7 or 8 years. It's just in years where our general allocations are under about 20% that we get in a bit of strife. We can probably limp through. Can we provide our facilities at a destination standard of a destination golf course in tourism? Probably not. The reason we ask for a bit of support is that helps us do that. And it is getting really competitive with other regions. It doesn't take much for us to drop under a particular standard, and you'll start to see tourism in this region fall away. So please just be mindful of that's really important. The other part then is equity, I guess. I'm a ratepayer, lived here all my life, so don't worry, I really understand the challenges. We respect absolutely whatever direction council go in this, so we understand we need the water and we do it. But just so you're aware, it's not necessarily normal everywhere. A lot of our neighbours, Wentworth Council provide Kumialla with about 200 meg of water each year on request, pretty much, just give it to them. The same with Edward River and Denny Golf Club.
Need to get you to wrap it up.
I'm pretty well done.
Yep.
200 meg, that's a gift to them again. They see the benefit in golf just like rec reserves. And even here, we probably see rec reserves can buy raw water for about 5 cents a kilolitre under council's fees and charges. I believe Berrigan can potentially do the same with the golf course. I know they don't use as much as us. And then the last one on that too is I think even Toke and a few of the others still get water through, so through sewerage provision, they get to about 80 to 100 meg of water availability potentially through a different system, and same with some others. So I guess we're one of the ones that doesn't have any access to any of those things. We genuinely only ask this as a partnership opportunity. I don't know if you're aware, I did see in the council notes about the proposal we put forward where we might provide an ongoing support to council for an ongoing grant to potentially then roll back periodically when we're just really short of water.
Thank you, Tony. Sorry, we've got a meeting to start. Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I do have a couple. Just, look, we understand, or I understand exactly how important sports tourism is to our region and has been over a long time, and do understand the partnerships we've had. But those two last examples that you gave, Deniliquin and Wentworth, have one golf course on each. We have 4.
Sure.
So, and that's where that equity comes in.
hard to come in.
It's pretty hard to pick and choose winners in when we have 4 of everything, unfortunately.
Yep.
However, how much water do you need at the moment? I should have asked the same question. How much do you need now? Because like the 300 security or the under security of 300 megalitres, the same question I asked John. If we have 3 or 4 drought years out of 5, and you need that water, then that's a massive amount of money that the council is giving as opposed to getting. And I'm just not quite sure that that's equitable going forward. So how much water do you need if we don't get an allocation in say July or whatever it is?
Sure. Generally, we're about 200 meg short. That is for us, that we would have to look at in any given year. We've done some work with a consultant to look at a long-term plan, even around harvesting more stormwater and that. So we think medium to long-term. We've been talking to council about that. It's been really good. We'd like to keep working to that.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have medium, long-term strategies that will involve investment, probably a couple of $1 million investment over a few years that we'll have to find and do to do that. So we're still keen to do all that.
Yep.
I guess we're just looking at the option of saying, look, if especially the partnership one, I guess we're sort of saying, well, if we only need water every few years, we can't predict that, as you've said. You know, at the moment, it might look like one every 5 or 6 years, but as you said, it could be 4 years in a row, and we totally understand that. I guess we're sort of saying, you know, the flip side is you have a few good years, and we can invest in a program together and do something that then in the other, where you're not necessarily going to generate that income from the water sales anyway, because it's years where water's probably cheap. But then we might get it back every 4 or 5 years. Do you know what I mean? So whether we can predict the future, well, we can't. We just can't. So, but we are trying genuinely to work at other options too.
Cool.
Councillor Brooker, I think, has a question.
Sorry, Tony, just a quick one. Finley have advised that their water licence is general security. Is your licence general security or high security?
It's a mix.
A mix.
So, yeah, we've got about 200 or 300 of high, about 200 or 300 of general, which is the bit that hurts us because I think we've got about 20% of that or 25% of that this year. That's the problem. And then because we use our high, and then we also have a groundwater licence. But there's some issues with that. We're going to have to just trickle that in, even though purely, if you look at it on face value, if we could use all that groundwater, we got no issue. But the reality is we can't get all that groundwater when you need it. So that we use every bit of it we can.
Okay. Any other questions?
Probably just the last one. So you mentioned that you do look after the grounds at the Sporties, and we do acknowledge that that has happened for a long period of time, even though some of that support's wound back. How much water do you actually use, do you think, on the Sporties?
So we reckon
on
us-
the actual...
Yep,
Reckon
I actually
so,
wrote
yeah.
down because that was the one about just where they go. So I reckon it's at about 40 meg a year, I reckon.
Yep.
Goes on to that. Yeah, yep. Give or take, depending again on how much it rains and other bits and pieces.
Did you have another one, Councillor Brooker?
I did just have a general type question for both groups. Have you gone out to the community and asked if the community would be willing to donate water to your cause?
Do you guys want to answer that first?
There have been occasions in the past where members who are farmers, but obviously with water being so short, it's a problem, but historically they have done it. One of the practical problems we have is we have 200 megalitres of general security, but you just have this problem when you have drought years.
You're only getting 20%.
Even if you have good years, you can only carry over half anyway. So that's a practical problem. And I don't know whether high security water is very expensive in New South Wales. It's actually, I think it's about twice the cost of high reliability water in Victoria.
We really need to move because
No,
I've got a half-hour window, so would you like to answer, Tony?
Yeah, no, honestly, it's not something we've approached primarily off the basis of just assuming, you know, if we're desperate for water, we kind of probably think our farmers and that are too, probably. So,
Yeah, but you might be likely to get 1 meg from 20, 30, 40 farmers each. You know, 1 meg's not a lot. Sorry, just a bit of a thought.
yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for our speakers at our public forum. So I mentioned we have a legal obligation to start within half an hour of our start time, which is why we're a bit rushed today. And we also have time limits in this code of meeting practice, which none of us are delighted by, but it is what it is. So thank you. The agenda item is unfortunately towards the end of the agenda, but you're welcome to stay if you wish. But otherwise, this is live streamed. So we'll end the public forum and we will shortly start our council meeting once we change over. Thanks.
Thanks, gang.
Stop speaking. I know I've got to get this started at 5 o'clock and. Is everyone good? I haven't got to join. I'm not going to worry about it. Let's just open our papers and get on with it. Thank you. Welcome to the ordinary council meeting of Wednesday, 18 March 2026. In the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government, Berwick and Shire Council's meetings are recorded. By speaking at a council meeting, members of the public agree to being recorded. Berwick and Shire Council accepts no liability for any defamatory, discriminatory or offensive remarks or gestures that are made during the course of the council meeting. Opinions expressed or statements made by individuals are the opinions or statements of those individuals and do not imply any form of endorsement by Berwick and Shire Council. Confidential matters of council will not be recorded. Recordings are protected by copyright and owned by Berwick and Shire Council. No part may be copied, recorded, reproduced or transmitted without the prior written consent of the CEO. Any recording is not and shall not be taken to be an official record of Berwick and Shire Council meetings or the discussion depicted therein. Only the official minutes may be relied upon as an official record of the meeting. A recording of the council meeting will be taken for administrative and minute preparation purposes only and is provided to the public for listening purposes to support council's statutory obligations. Berwick and Shire Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands in which we live and thrive. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. The people of these great nations, their spirits and ancestors will always remain with our waterways and lands. We have one leave of absence which we accepted at our last meeting, being Deputy Mayor Councillor Payne. Are there any applications for leave of absence? And no one's attending via audio-visual link. I will mention that we have a special guest today. Our new CEO who's starting with us after Easter, Cameron Boardman, is here on my right. Thank you, Cameron, for making the drive and coming to see us today. Item 4, we have confirmation of previous minutes, and I believe Councillor Nutikoa, you were going to mention something about the minutes.
Yes, just that I don't agree with the additional report that was provided after the February meeting be included in the minutes. Whether that needs to come back to the next council meeting to be in the agenda and up for the public to see beforehand.
Is the point that we shouldn't be receiving and noting a report we didn't have at the
Correct,
time?
in the minutes. Yep.
Okay, thank you. So can we make that correction to the minutes? Would you like to move the minutes with that correction?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Brooker, all in favour of confirming those minutes? Thank you, carried. Do we have any disclosures of interest? No, thank you. We do have 2 mayoral minutes. They haven't made their way into resolve, but they should, so we'll arrange for that. The first one is a mayoral minute honouring the life and service of Bob Brown, OAM. Today we pause to honour the life and legacy of Bob Brown, OAM, a man whose dedication to our community has left an enduring mark on the Berrigan Shire. Bob served the Berrigan Shire Council for many years as a committed volunteer, offering his time, his wisdom and his unwavering passion for preserving our local aviation history. As president of the Tocumwal Historic Aerodrome Museum, Bob played a pivotal role in safeguarding one of the most significant collections of World War II and Tocumwal aviation artefacts in Australia. He was instrumental in the initiation of the Tocumwal Aviation Museum. His work ensured that future generations will continue to learn from and appreciate the stories, sacrifices and achievements that shaped our region. On behalf of Council, I extend our heartfelt condolences to Bob's wife Gina and to his extended family. His legacy will continue to inspire all who value aviation history, community and service. We have a second mayoral minute which relates to an inquiry being handled by the Minister of Local Government. And he has sought a response from us by 31 March 2026 in relation to our participation in the Riverina and Murray Joint Organisation. There's a range of documents which need to be added to the agenda so that they are publicly available, and we will arrange for that after the meeting. The mayoral minute, unfortunately, was late coming to council, so I'm happy to provide any further detail should you have any queries. So the resolution that I have proposed, and I don't need a seconder, is that council officers prepare a submission to the Minister of Local Government before 31 March 2026 in accordance with the following direction. One, that notes the perceived value of being a member of a joint organisation outlined in the Riverina and Murray Joint Organisation paper on this matter. 2, resolves the following provisions be reviewed for exclusion from the joint organisation statutory obligations and form the basis of the Berrigan Shire submission. A, the requirement for a member-funded Audit Risk and Improvement Committee be abolished or funded by the New South Wales State Government. B, the requirement for audited annual accounts be abolished or funded by the New South Wales State Government. C, objection to the requirements of the Code of Meeting Practice that prevents remote attendance on the grounds that such conditions may be discriminatory in both form and practice. D, the compliance costs for smaller regional councils and joint organisations are excessive to meet in a rate-capped environment. And item 3, notes the attachments provided by the CEO in consideration of this matter, the Ramjo Charter, the Ramjo Comparative Analysis, the Minister's Letter and the Ramjo Presentation on the Value of Joint Organisations. And 4, reserves the right to reconsider the current membership of Ramjo, including whether a ROC would be a better option when the review is tabled. Does anyone have any questions or comments in relation to this matter?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. The
Sure.
first one is, obviously Ramjo has played a part in our region for a long period of time, even though it was forced on us by the state government to join the joint organisation. And I've witnessed firsthand when the member councils buy in, it does work really, really well from a strategic point of view and obviously from shared services point of view as well.
Yep.
I think there's a lot more space that we can work in that period, in that space, and I also believe that, you know, whether it's a joint organisation or it's our councils that are our near neighbours, that we need to work more. We need to work more strategically together, because at the end of the day, we understand that grant funding is going to be you know, a lot harder to attract, and obviously the costs and of running the business are going up, not down. One question I would be interested in is, what is the position of Ramjo as it stands right now before the submission goes in, and understanding that they used to be a ROC before they became a joint organisation, but obviously that was a lot more of the GMs buying into that as a rock, as opposed to having a CEO or a general manager that runs the actual, even though they did have one of those, but it was still a lot more buy-in from the
Yeah.
member councils.
I can tell you that 2 councils withdrew from Ramjo last financial year, 2 councils joined Ramjo. There are ongoing concerns about the finances, what it's costing, and its own viability, and the fact that we're going to have to keep putting money in. There are some councils who prefer the option of a ROC as the situation stands today because of all those things we've got listed there that are increasing costs and requirements and making it overly burdensome. However, I believe, well, I know where the group has landed, everyone will go back to their own councils and, take a view as we are today, is that we would be best served today to make the submission, stay as a collective, as a JO, and see where the minister takes this discussion, and then further explore whether a ROC is a better option. Certainly in terms of some of the governance, I mean, they had the meeting in Wentworth, 5.5 hours drive away, and I requested to attend the meeting but virtually, and that was declined. We're a small council, we can't have a CEO away for effectively 3 days to attend a meeting for 2.5 hours. It's just absurd. Not to mention, I don't get to earn an income and all those sorts of things. So I think the minister will wind some of those things back because that's pretty objectionable. But it would be good to see the ARIC things and other expenses dealt with. So that's a long answer, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right, 100%. And look, to be honest, if Griffith and Albury aren't in, then it doesn't work either anyway, so.
And that could happen. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, we'll put that motion. All in favour? Thank you, carried. All right, we're up to item 7. Uh, 7.1, which is the local traffic forum. The recommendation is on the paper, it has been drawn to my attention that Anzac Day is in fact on a Saturday, so I will read the recommendation with that correction. So we've got LTF1, council approved the application made by the Berrigan sub-branch of the Return Services League to hold their annual parade on Anzac Day, Saturday, 25 April 2026. A temporary road closure of Chandler Street, Berrigan between the hours of 8:30am and 10:30am. LTF2, council approved the application by the Finley sub-branch of the Return Services League to hold their annual parade on Anzac Day, Saturday, 25 April 2026. The temporary road closure of Murray Street, Finley, between the hours of 10:30 and 12:30. LTF3, council approved the application made by the Tocumwal sub-branch of the Return Services League to hold their dawn service on Anzac Day, Friday, 25 April 2026, and the temporary road closure of Deniliquin Street, Tocumwal, between the hours of 5:30am and 7am, and their annual parade and the temporary road closure of Deniliquin Street between the hours of 10:30am and 12:30pm. Do we have a mover? Councillor Stringer, a seconder. Councillor Brooker, any questions or comments? No. All in favour? Thank you, carried. All right, we move to item 8, and we would like to move a block, and I will go through those numbers and confirm the block, and then I will go through each of them individually should anyone have any clarifying questions. So the proposed block is 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.4, 8.5, 8.7. If anyone would like to debate or vote against those recommendations, please sing out and we will remove them from the block. No? Okay, would someone like to move that we move those as a block? Councillor Healy, seconded Councillor Brooker. So I'll read through each one individually. We do have some questions from the register for some of those items. So 8.1 is the investment report for February 2026. Does anyone have any questions for that one? No. 8.2 is council law requests for February 2026, and we did have a question on the register relating to that, and I'll ask the CEO to, do you want me to read the question and you read the answer? Okay. So the questions, can you please confirm that the table reflects all councillor requests? I believe that some may be missing but could be incorrect. If some are missing, can the process be refined?
Thank you. Response. There are only 4 councillor requests, customer requests, noting that if works are required, they are established as a works request and managed by the relevant officer. The CR does not identify if it has been created as a works request, and the closed items have been removed. There is one additional CR that has been received in March, but would not be included in the February report. And for councillors' information, we've also included another column which you'll receive with what the next actions that we are undertaking on all these matters.
Okay, thank you. And that register will be published. 8.3, development determinations for January 2026. Councillor Natakawa, did you have a question?
Couple of questions. Is there a reason that we can't get February's figures in March if the agenda isn't required, or the agenda items aren't required until the first week of the month? Or will we always be 2 months behind in our reports?
The statistics are provided by the New South Wales portal. Their data is 2 months behind and we do not have control.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
One other question was in relation, we received an email this last week in relation to an outstanding occupation certificate. Is there any other DAs that have been determined but not finalised or completed that we could actually put into that list?
Okay. The reason for the DA that was mentioned is shown on the portal. The applicant has not provided the relevant data since the request, and the applicant has been informed numerous times, including today.
Okay.
Director Community and Development, did you want to add?
If I may just provide a little bit
Yep.
further clarity, there needs to be a distinction made between a development application and then the processes that follow after. In this instance, the request was in regards to a compliance certificate, which is the process after a DA as well. So council's done their function.
Yep.
Compliance certificates can be issued by council or private certifier. In this instance, it is council, but they haven't satisfied that request.
Okay, thank you.
8.4, recurrent road maintenance program, and I think was Councillor Natakawa, did you have a question on that one?
Yep. Are we able, noting the work that's gone into this, so thank you, Gary, for that. Just wondering if we can get the final expenditure for the 23-24 year and the 24-25 year, as you've got it written for the 25-26 year with what's been spent and that sort of thing, just to give us that sort of more holistic spent or underspent or information, so that we could see that in the report.
I'll go first. In our response, we've actually got a table which outlines the expenditure across the major categories for 2024-25 and 2023-24. I won't read them out now, but they are there and will be available publicly.
So there's an allocation there, but it's not listed as to what the actual expenditure was, and so whether that was an overspend, underspend, on mark, sort of just that further feedback information.
Gary, did you want to give any further on that?
No, we've got those figures and we'll update and provide them to you.
That'd be great.
So this has got the allocation and the actual expenditure.
So for 25-26 it does, but for 23-24, 24-25 it doesn't have that.
It's in the register, is it?
Okay. Yep, thank you.
Okay. We're up to 8.5, and I had a question there. Can you please explain the circumstances that have led to the requested rescission?
Yes, the report had been accidentally duplicated in the forward agenda, so it went to council twice. So we're not sure how that happened, but it did, and we are now rescinding the second motion because the lease is signed under the seal. So straight procedural matter.
Okay, any other questions on that?
Sorry, I just had one on that. Did the lease actually get signed in September?
Yes, it did.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, and 8.7 is the last from the block, and it's the actions from previous council meetings. And the question, there are a number of actions that are well overdue. Can you please advise what steps are being taken to acquit these in a timely fashion?
Yep. Response is that items are being addressed, but there are a lot of items that are delayed, particularly when we are dealing with third parties and organisations, for example, plans of management. And I might add that in terms of the actions that we are going to be tabling this at the executive for review and discussion, and we'll provide a memo back to councillors from the CEO.
Okay, we've got a mover and a seconder for all those items as a block, so all in favour and carrying those, thank you, as stated in the recommendations, carried, thank you. We're at 8.6 now, which is the Rural Fire Service Support for Federation Council position on Southern Border team arrangement. The recommendation is that Council note the report regarding the operation of the Southern Border team arrangement within the Rural Fire Service, that we note the position adopted by Federation Council seeking the de-teaming of the Federation Zone, Federation and Berrigan local government areas from the Southern Border team arrangement, that Council support Federation Council in requesting the New South Wales Rural Fire Service and the Minister for Emergency Services to consider the establishment of a standalone Federation Zone Fire Control Centre operating from the Corora Rural Fire Service Centre, and that we receive and note the attached minutes from February 2026 New South Wales Rural Firefighting Fund 25-26 allocations and Berrigan Shire Bushfire Expense 24-25. Do we have a mover? Councillor Stringer, a seconder? Councillor Brooker, thank you. We had a question on the register for this one. The final page of the second attachment has some handwritten notes. Can we please explain what those notes are intended to mean?
Yes, a response. The RFS added these handwritten notes to indicate RFS allocation for 24-25 was at $63,231.05 and actual spend at $78,603.71 with no carryover to next financial year. Approximately $18,000 to top off the allocation for Berrigan Shire Council to make up the difference. An accurate invoice is required to be sent out.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Nanakawa?
When we were looking at budget last year, there was outstanding amounts that needed to be made to Federation Shire. Have all of those outstanding amounts been resolved and paid, or are we still in the process of paying those?
Thank you. Response. The de-teaming is to go back to the original arrangement and no envisaged cost. If there is an increased level of service, this may impact on cost. Council is paying what falls due in the current year, plus an additional $90,000 until the amount is paid in full.
Okay.
The costs are actual costs incurred for the running of the RFS within Berrigan Shire. We pay the additional $90,000 to Federation with the relevant year's invoice. To date, we have made one $90,000 payment, so we still have $246,331.91 outstanding.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I just ask who our reps are? And you're the rep on this, are you, Gary? And yourself, yeah?
I've been the rep since we had an acting CEO in case this was going to go on as continuity with the new CEO coming on board, so yes. And Councillor Renee has been on the committee as well.
So this has always been a challenging area for council. What impacts are we going to have going forward if this de-teaming is pushed? And is it pushed? Is it the whole section, or is it just coming from one part of the section? Or I mean, obviously, if we're looking after ourselves, there's going to be a lot more costs than if we're working as a strategic partnership.
So Matt, the de-teaming is originally going back to the original arrangements. So we've been in discussion with the RFS. There used to be probably 3 people working out of the Corowa office. With going to the Hume and Albury and amalgamating a bigger area, the staff are working out of Albury now, and there seems to be no bodies going out to the Corowa office. So that they've lost that continuity, rapport and level of service out in Berrigan and Federation Shire. So mainly we're looking to just get that continuity back of having some people there and providing a level of service. They don't want a 5-level service like Deniliquin or Albury Centre. They're just looking to get to, say, a 3-level service of providing enough support for the crews and the volunteers out in the Federation and Berrigan areas.
Yeah, and at what extra cost? That's the question.
There's no envisaged cost because they're just looking to go back to the older arrangement. But I can't say going forward there's not going to be envisaged cost because the agreements we've got at the moment, they're about 20 years old. And a lot of the current legislations and processes are all changed in that 20 years. All this needs to be updated and approved with the committee and the reps going forward, and then adopted. So yeah, it's watch your space and how you're going. So yeah.
I've got a question. So do you think it's a good idea to D-team?
I reckon it's good to go back to a D team and probably having a 3-star rating for Corowa and for Berrigan Shire and Federation, because the volunteers out in this area aren't getting the continuity. They're getting probably, with Guardian is a fire management system, they're not getting the information out to the volunteers. And a lot of the plant and equipment, like you probably heard in Victoria with those fires down there, they're not getting the support about maintenance and operation. That's happening here now because the loss of continuity out of Albury and Federation and Berrigan, they've lost that traction, so yeah.
And how much advocacy are we going to have to do to get this up? Like, is it a small ask or a big ask?
Small at the moment, it's just support letters. But as you know, through the New South Wales government, we're looking at the Red Fleet and how all the councils are operating in this space. So there's going to be a lot of advocacy and probably a lot of changes in the next 4 or 5 years in this area.
So obviously we'll vote in a moment, but if the vote gets up, I think when we review our advocacy document, which we are in the process of doing, this would be something that would go in it. So perhaps I'll propose an amendment, thank you, Interim CEO, that we add this topic to our advocacy document for the coming financial year, and that will be used for the purpose of the election that's in less than 12 months now. Is our mover and seconder happy with that? You were the Councillor Stringer, and who is our seconder? Councillor Brooke, are you happy with that amendment? Okay. All right. Did you want to speak to this, or Councillor Brooker or Councillor Stringer?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I do have other stuff to do with the Rural Fire Service, and it's frustrating for me receiving calls from volunteers with the Albury Centre the way it is at the moment. I've got one truck that's been waiting for a nozzle. Like, you can go to, you know, the hardware store and buy a fire nozzle. 3 months they've been waiting for one nozzle. They've got new volunteers. The Albury team came over for a meeting. They were asked to bring, you know, measuring things to measure up the new volunteers for their uniforms. 3 meetings they've been over for, they haven't brought that information, where if it was in Corowa, it's not as hard for the volunteers just to quickly drive to Corowa, get measured up. Going to Albury, it's a 3-hour round trip for anyone sort of on this side. So it's just those little things that will make it easier. You know, they've got to supply water, snacks for the trucks, first aid supplies, and at the moment they're just not getting those out to the field. They've got to wait for someone to come. They turn up at a station, don't tell anyone they're coming, and then go, well, how do I get in? You know, not even the messaging to say, we'll be there on this day, can someone meet us? Just those little things that make it harder. They are volunteers. They are volunteering their time, like most people.
Thank you, Councillor Brooker. Councillor Natakawa?
Gary, do you think that the three people that were staffed in Corowa will come back to the Corowa office as opposed to remaining in Albury, or?
No, because they've moved on. One's retired and two have probably used as a stepladder to jump towards other promotions further towards Sydney.
But would those three positions, would you expect three positions to be back in Corowa if you're looking at a 3-star?
Yeah, I'd expect there probably 3 positions to
Yeah.
go back there.
Okay.
But, yeah.
As
It's
opposed to
a-
reducing it down to one person to cover
It
everything?
might be
Yeah.
one full-time position and 2.5
Part-time.
positions or something like that.
Yep.
And there is talk around another authority probably going in there, and it could be about that level of support with this other authority going in there to maintain that depot. So
Yep, okay,
it might
thank you.
reduce just to 2 with the other authority going in there. So
Yep,
yeah.
okay, thank you.
Councillor Dennis?
I think from memory in the strategic report, we looked at the overall role and services that we had for the Royal Fire Service and all fire services around Berrigan. Is that still something on the table where we're going to review all of that?
Yes, as a part of the agreement and the MOUs and all that, that's a part of the process, looking at all that, so yes.
Does anyone wish to speak against that motion? No? Okay, all in favour of the motion? Thank you, carried. We're up to 8.8. Sorry, getting there. The Berrigan Water Tower mural funding request and project update. The recommendation is that council notes previous council resolutions, item 9.3, notice of motion, Berrigan Water Tower mural, OCM 171-25, October 2025, and financial contributions totalling $13,000 towards the Berrigan Water Tower art project. That we note that a letter of support was provided to the Berrigan Tidy Towns and Conservation Group to assist with their grant applications for the project. Note that council has worked collaboratively with the Berrigan Tidy Towns and Conservation Group regarding fencing and electricity supply requirements for the project site. And note the correspondence received from the Berrigan Tidy Towns and Conservation Group requesting that council consider allocating $10,000 per annum for 2 years on a dollar-for-dollar matching basis to support the completion of site works, landscaping and interpretive signage associated with the Berrigan Water Tower mural project, and refer this request to the 26-27 budget process. Do we have a mover? Councillor Healy, seconder. Councillor Hannan. Councillor Healy, did you want to speak in favour of the motion?
Yes, thank you. I think further in the report there was actually a couple of points that I just wanted to bring up. One of them was in regards to receiving a further report regarding the likely 5 to 10 year impact of maintenance requirements in relation to the water leakage and potential impact on the mural, which I don't recall receiving, but it's said that we would have had that by now. So I think we've already seen that there has been some impact to the mural because of the leakage, predominantly on the, let me get my bearings, east side, but there has been some, you can see where there has been some leakage, but that is actually repairable. The group are really happy with the support that council has given them so far. And this additional funding will just help them to be able to finish the site, which was alluded to when they first came to speak to us last year.
So this motion doesn't actually approve the dollars?
No, it doesn't. That's correct. So I know, because that was one of the, just with regards to the options that were further down in that report, that there are a couple of options with regards, we're noting the fact that they have requested the funding over the next 2 years, but I think that it would be important for us to go back to the group and ask them to provide a strategic plan, a proposal for the site with some costings around what they would like to do. So
would you like an amendment?
I was about to ask that. Can we?
What would you like to amend
That's
to?
a really good. Well, it's already written there for me. I would like to amend it that we request that the Berrigan Tidy Towns and Conservation Group provide a detailed strategic plan of proposed works and staging, including the costings and demonstrated community endorsement. Before I say prior to, and then that we would then consider additional funding or grant opportunities for the project.
So a slight change to that
Just a
wording.
slight.
Yep. Yes. So we're going to get that up on the screen. So it's an excerpt from page 59 of our pack, item 1, with some slight changes. Is the seconder happy with that amendment? Councillor Hannan? Yep.
Would you like me to come over and?
I can read it out for you. Okay. It'd be item 5, so we added 5, please. And we'll get this up and then we can massage it. Okay, 5. Is request that the Berrigan Tidy Towns and Conservation Group provide a detailed strategic plan of proposed works and staging, comma.
Conservation group request.
Have we got it? Okay. If we can cut and paste that up, that would be good. Thank you. Okay, now we can.
Yeah.
Councillor Hill wants to.
Yeah,
do
just,
some of the wording, we can do that.
it's only changing the prior, oh, well, we can leave it in there really, but,
And that council consider.
and that council consider additional rather than prior to. So, sorry, just where it says prior to, if you take that out and say, and that council will consider.
Council will consider.
Additional funding. So if you just take out considering.
Will consider additional funding, is it?
Yep.
So, consider additional funding.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything
with
else?
I don't think I need anything else.
Okay.
said.
Anyone else wish to speak in favour?
Oh, I just had a question.
Oh, question, go ahead.
Weren't the leaks supposed to be fixed before it even started?
Director of Infrastructure.
Sorry, no, there was minor leaks, and we spoke to the contractor and the community around these minor leaks. The contractor said he was going to have this product that he could put into these little leaks that shouldn't deter the painting or the mural that they're going to do on that structure. But the CCTV, a section of the tank, is to be done on that in the next couple of years to get an assessment of that water tower.
Right.
The small leakages that you'll be noticing, they're able to be cleaned off, and it's just from the calcification that is being cleaned off in the process of preparation. The major leak, though, council actually lowered the height of the water so that could be worked on.
Okay. Anyone else wish to speak in favour? Anyone wish to speak against? Okay, we'll put that all in favour of that motion there. Can I see some hands? Thank you, carried. All right, 8.9. New lease agreement for Shop 2, Tokemore Foreshore, Fifth Daughter. The recommendation is that council approves entering into a new lease with the Fifth Daughter for the premises at Shop 2, Tokemore Foreshore, grants a lease for a term of 3 years with a further 2-year option, sets the rent at increased assessed market value of $270 per week, and authorises the Land and Facilities Officer to finalise all necessary lease documentation in preparation for the council's seal. Do we have a mover? Councillor Stringer, a seconder? Councillor Dennis? Councillor Stringer, did you want to speak in favour of this?
The Fifth Daughter's just a a really good thing for Toke. It gets lots of business, especially early in the morning. I wouldn't hesitate to give them a new lease. They've been good tenants, so.
Excellent. Councillor Dennis?
Just with that, there was been discussions before, and it was also raised at the conversations with the councillor about the maintenance of the building. Is that built into that lease agreement as well, the continued maintenance of the building?
Council maintenance of the building?
Yeah, for example, there's parts that needs painting or sanding or different parts of the building. Is that
I
going
would
to
have
be
to, I would
within-
have to take that on notice and get back to you about that, because I wouldn't be able to tell you the wording of the actual lease.
Thank you. I have raised that issue before.
Okay. Anyone else? Councillor Natikoa?
Just noting that I think we need to look at the air conditioning. Obviously, it's an ongoing thing to look at the air conditioning, but especially if we're entering into a new lease with them, to have some progress made around what we're doing to address the air conditioning for their shop, as well as for the whole building.
We did have a question on the air conditioning, but I forgot about. 8.9, I note in the councillor requests that the air conditioning has not yet been resolved. Is there an update on this?
Pardon me. Yes, responses relating to the fifth order have been included in previous reports to council, and we have addressed this. A third unit is being installed on top of the bend, and changes have occurred to the fifth order. The new unit and other changes should reduce loads to the whole building. However, as these are refrigerated systems, if doors are left open, they do not function appropriately. An update on 5 March 2026 on what is occurring has been included in item 8.2 WR 10160.
And it said they'd be going back in a couple of weeks. Have they been back?
They went out there, but due to the climatic conditions, it was appropriate at that time. So we said we will have to go back at another point just to make sure it's appropriate.
Yeah.
It also goes back to the comment Michelle made, though, in regards to the commercial lease and the responsibilities.
Okay. All right, anyone else? Okay, all in favour of that recommendation? Thank you, carried. We're up to 8.10, which is the proposal to co-locate the Berrigan Shire Visitor Information Centre with the Tocumwal Library. The recommendation is that council endorse the relocation of the Berrigan Shire Visitor Information Centre to the Tocumwal Library, establishing a co-located service model. Do we have a mover? We can discuss it without a mover.
Oh, well.
We have an alternative motion.
You'd need an alternative. Yeah. You can't debate it without a motion before the chair.
Okay. So councillor Haley, did you want to move it?
I can move as is. Yep.
Councillor Brooker, seconder. Okay. We do have some questions. Sections 3 and 6 of the agenda item reference costs, but no figures are presented. Can a cost-benefit analysis be provided? Can specifics be provided regarding the current costs versus future costs? Can specific costs be provided for the proposed relocation?
Thank you. Response. Given the limited timeframe to prepare this report, the information below is based on best available estimates prepared to respond to the queries raised. The co-location of the Tocumwal Visitor Information Centre within the library involves minimal one-off costs, with additional brochure racks estimated at up to $10,000, only if not absorbed into the existing library upgrade, and updated signage estimated at approximately $4,000, while all other relocation and layout changes can be incorporated into planned DDA and library works. No additional staffing or recurrent operating costs are anticipated. Financial benefits include the elimination of ongoing building and maintenance costs associated with a standalone visitor information centre, approximately $2,000 annually, potential future staffing efficiencies through shared service delivery, and the opportunity to generate ongoing rental income by leasing the vacated VIC shopfront as a commercial tenancy, and that would be approximately $10,000 annually. Overall, the proposal represents a low capital, high return initiative that reduces recurrent expenditure and creates a new revenue stream for council.
And there's another question about the survey. Was the survey promoted externally to the community of Tocumwal? That is not just to visitors to the library and the VIC.
Thank you. And the response, the surveys were not promoted to the wider Tocumwal community, as each was designed to gather feedback from a specific user group. The VIC survey targeted visitors to understand how they locate the centre, with results showing reliance on street signage and online tools such as Google and Google Maps. Surveying locals would not have provided meaningful insight. They are not the users. The library survey focused on existing users to gather informed feedback on service access and the proposed DDA upgrades, ensuring responses were relevant to those who actually use the space.
Thank you. So we'll take questions before we go to debate, because I anticipate we will have both. And I know, Councillor Dennis, you have some questions. I might switch if you've got a few extra between other councils, but you can go first.
And I do have a lot of questions. And the questions that I've formatted do require formats and some context for people to understand why I've asked the questions. So there was a lot of community funds raised for the original Tocumwal Visitors Centre building, and many volunteers' hours were contributed. The building that the community raised funds for and in part built was demolished, and assurances were given to the community that the Visitor Information Centre would remain, although it was a long time built. Has consideration been given to the local community about the previous funds raised and the history associated to the current site, past council assurances and proposals for relocation?
CEO, do we have a Director of Community and Development?
Through you, I'm not aware of any direct funds that were provided to the community in regards to the actual development of the VIC. The VIC was generally funded by some state funding and council's capital owned cash reserves in regards to the construction.
I'm talking about prior to the demolition.
Unaware of that, but I can't comment on things that aren't relevant to the report. The report's in regards to the relocation of the VIC.
Just be careful with the context, it doesn't get into debate, because you'll get a chance, just not yet. Questions, yeah.
I will just read it quickly then. So the historical side of the Tocumwal Information Centre was a very hard fought battle with the community, and the demolishing of the old building.
You're getting into debate, Sharon. Hold on that and get to the question.
Yeah. It's very hard to condense it, but I will.
Yeah.
I'll just go to the question then. Given the history of the established accredited information centre, would it be contradictory that the council are now proposing that the space at the current site is not adequate, and what reputable damage would this impose on council?
Council obtains its accreditation every month and every 6 months in regards to the VIC. By relocating it to a larger space, we would still meet our accreditation, but we think we would provide a better service to the visitors to our town.
Okay, I'll change to another councillor and I'll come back to you, Councillor Dennis. Did you have, Councillor?
Yeah, I had a question. So in the report, one of the comments made was around long vehicles and being able to park there. Has there been a traffic study done at the other end of town, noting that there is quite significant and busy and intensive businesses at that end? Is there going to be any more parking provided at that end than there is at the end that we are at the moment? Understanding too that we are going to develop a car park there at some stage adjacent to it.
The information within the report is only based on the officer's understanding. We did seek feedback in regards to the library staff that are there constantly. The additional traffic or parking locations for larger vehicles are on the side streets, where presently that doesn't occur at the moment. But note your comments in regards to the future Tocumwal, and if that was developed, that would provide additional parking in that immediate vicinity.
Councillor Natakawa?
If floor space is already an issue where it currently is sitting, how is that combated if it goes into the Tocumwal Library? Because to me, that already looks like a very full space.
So council engaged a designer to actually relook at all of the Tocumwal Library as part of the other state grant funding. You'll note that there's within the library there's large concertina doors that basically separate the library from half, and the rest is really an unutilised space. Those proposed plans actually remove the concertinas and extend the library a lot further back into that space, and then would put up an artificial wall to still have a space for a community. So roughly we're gaining about another third of the floor space under the proposed plan through the state funding. That design then also looked at if there was the opportunity to co-locate, where would you put the VIC within the space? And they've come up with some design concepts to illustrate how that could occur.
Yeah, that was my follow-up question, was where in the if you're going to extend the library, I would think it would need to be toward the front of the library as opposed to all the way at the back if you're trying to get the street traffic, I guess.
I've got a question.
Councillor Healy?
So just wondering, are they staff or volunteers at the information centre?
Both.
How many staff?
So the often it's 2 staff.
Yeah, paid staff.
Paid staff, but they're not on a full-time basis, so they're on I think it's a 0.6, and then we have volunteers as well that we work out through that plan.
And have the staff and the volunteers been consulted in this process, and how were they consulted?
They were consulted and we asked them to complete some of the survey. Council's also presently doing a review of the, I've got to get the correct term here, the library services statement, I think it's called. But the direct feedback from those officers and those people involved has been fed into that, which has already looked at this as being a shared space.
And my final question, so will aligning the processes, procedures and customer service approaches create barriers for volunteers and therefore reduce the numbers that are able to help out?
The intent's not to change the staffing, and the intent on the proposed plan, which still could be altered, would be that you would have a designated space for the VIC and a designated space for the library, so then your staff still would be split. We're not seeking to change the hours associated with either council staff or volunteers.
Right. I'll go to Councillor Stringer and then Councillor Dennis. Councillor Stringer.
Mine's a pretty simple question. Why didn't we ask the people of Tocumwal? We asked the workers and we asked the volunteers, but we didn't ask the people of Tocumwal.
So the response provided by the CEO was this is a visitor information centre. It's not there to serve our community of Tocumwal per se. It's generally for people that are coming to the Shire that may not understand where things are. So we took a direct response from anybody that attended the VIC, asked where we're from, and then asked them to complete the information.
Well, I use it and no one asked me.
Thank you, Councillor Stringer. We'll get to debate shortly. Councillor Dennis.
2 points in that. One, the survey, I would have liked to have seen the questions of the survey because in the actual information...
Question, not debate.
I'm not very
What were
good
the
at this, am
questions
I?
on the survey? Is that what we want to know? What were the questions on the survey?
Yes.
They were roughly 5 questions each. I can't tell you exactly what they were offhand because I don't have that information in front of me. But they were generic questions like, how did you find the VIC? How often have you used the VIC? Where have you come from? They were questions about trying to understand that if council did relocate, what would be the impact to a visit to the Shire?
Okay.
I'd like to move procedural that we go to debate.
Sure. All right. Who would like to speak in favour? Would our mover or seconder like to speak in favour at all? You're not obligated. You know, would anyone else like to speak in favour? All right, would anyone like to speak against? Councillor Dennis has been waiting for this moment.
Hey. There are a lot of people in community that feel like they've been left out in this whole process. There's been a lot of investment, personal and financial, around this area. It's been a debate for a long time, and council have always given assurances that it will be respected and looked after for the information centre. We know there's been another information centre that was popped up because it was believed that the council were not servicing what was required for the information centre. And that was quite also heated coming towards the end of that debate as well. So it is something that the town are very, very proud of and have wanted to see flourish and have wanted to see grow. And this was brought up way before the new building was even established, and it was a long debate for that. The community made a vote on the building. They were asked to vote, and they actually put in submissions towards the new building. There was discussion with the information centre in that building. They've had a large say in that building. They are users of that building, and that is also stated in the accreditation that it is there, also there for the locals as well as for the broader community, and it is a connection point. So I think, in my opinion, I think the locals should be actually asked on how they feel about this relocation. It's not necessarily a monetary thing. It's also something that I think is strong for the community. And if you're saying the building's not viable, I don't understand why it's not viable and why we're going to actually try and rent it out to someone else.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis. Would our mover or seconder like to rebut that?
Well, I'm just curious, from what the report had said, and the staff and the volunteers were identifying that the current location doesn't meet their needs. Is that how I was interpreting it? That's how I interpreted it. And so they're looking for more space. Was that that also we didn't get specific feedback from the volunteers or staff? Is that the feedback that was received?
Through Mayor, yeah, the current space doesn't work for what it's intended to be utilised. I will note that from the original design to actually what was constructed, there were further modifications, and the VIC proposed floor space actually was reduced. Mm-hmm. That reduction in floor space creates significant problems which are outlined in the report.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are still on debate. So we had another against. Councillor Stringer.
Yeah, where it sits at the moment, there's abundance of parking. There's the gravel park over the road where cars and caravans can stop. There's the back of the supermarket where they can stop. And both those shops that are either side of it are going to financially be cut off at the knees if we move it. And the town of Tocumwal is quite happy where it is. So I think you're not going to get me to move it.
Okay, Councillor Healy.
Oh, no, sorry.
Sorry, Councillor
No, I'd just like to highlight that in the report it didn't mention storage, and maybe some operational issues may well be in there around how they actually do access the storage, as opposed to, you know, if you run out, you go and get it, you know, when you run out. Because I think using Councillor Stringer and Councillor Dennis's comments around the fact that the community of Tocumwal, it's been a contentious issue for a long period of time. You know, whilst we may not think it's the best location, but when you drive around the roundabout and you see all those signs sticking out, it does allude you to something is there. If we take it up to where there's 2 doctor surgeries, a post office and a police station and a bus stop, I'm not quite sure that that's going to alleviate some of the issues in there. And I think if we are to move it, we do need to consult with the community of Tocumwal, because I'm telling you, I've had one go at this. I don't want to have another go.
So can we make an amendment to this? Or
yeah. Well, I will just echo, I lived through that experience too. And you don't do this without surveying them. Sorry,
or can
Councillor Headley.
No, sorry, it would be I can't remember.
You have an alternative motion. So we've got...
Alternative motion. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, but you'd like to... This is the mover. Does the mover could change...
Oh, so can I do it without a 72?
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know. So your we don't do foreshadows anymore, Sort of, anyway. All right, we will vote on this, however, you flagged that you will have an alternative, so we'll vote on what we've got here. What would you want to
I mean, the
foreshadow?
alternative actually is more because part of me moving this was so that we could talk about this, because we actually do need to consult with the community. And a bit more consideration has to go into this, not just the practicalities of it. So I don't know whether is it a motion to move, or is it an action when we support or don't support this? Does that confuse you enough?
So we've got before us, do we want to move or do we not want to move? That's pretty yes, no. But what's the alternative you're proposing?
Well, the alternative, we need to go back to community, or the action is we...
Bring another report back after you've been to community and done a full cost benefit analysis. And
Does that
we'll
have to be a
think about it
motion
again.
though, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so let's put what we've got, and then we will go to the alternatives. So we've got council endorse the relocation of the Berrigan Shire Visitor Information Centre to the Toke Library, establishing a co-located service model. All in favour, put your hand up very high if you are in favour. All against, hands up. Thank you. That failed. We have an alternative motion, which is...
You're going to ask me for the words. You said it very well
Someone not
before.
write it down?
Take our time slowly, please.
Yes.
To let Sian,
Yeah, that a report
would it
be brought back to council. Let's give you a couple of months, so
Well, you
June?
You don't want number one.
No, four there is number one. So the report be brought back to council following community consultation and including a full cost benefit analysis. Did we mention traffic analysis? And other relevant details. Other relevant details? By the June council meeting. Are you happy with that, councillor Healy? Do you have a seconder for that, councillor Natikoa? And we get rid of...
Number one gets rid of.
Okay. All right, so we've got that a report is brought back to council following community consultation, including a cost-benefit analysis, traffic analysis and other relevant details by the June 2026 council meeting. All in favour of that proposed?
I just want to ask, where you've got the community consultation, who does that?
Staff.
Staff, okay.
Yep. Are we happy with this wording? Did you want to speak, Director Community Infrastructure?
If I could just outline for your consideration, council staff might not be able to provide some of that information. So that may require us engaging an external consultant to provide some of this, which would have a cost and a time. So that might need to be considered as part of that.
Can we say with a budget of, what, 5K? Are we prepared to put a budget on this?
Yep.
Mover?
Which parts would need external contract for that?
Traffic engineer and a full cost benefit analysis, we would need to go to some people to provide that information. On the basis of having to go to an external consultant, I would find it highly unlikely that we would be able to come back to you in June.
I don't know we need to have somebody there counting the cars at both ends of the street. I think we've got a pretty clear indication of which end of Tokemore is busy and which end's not. It's 300 metres long. And when you get external consultants in, the issue I have is that they might have it on a slow day and 4 of the other days are flat out. So I think, I mean, the wording of full cost benefit analysis, I think it should be just a cost benefit analysis.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, you know, what are we going to, how much is it going to cost us to fit the building out on top of what we're actually already doing? How much rent potentially will we get from the existing building that we're going to vacate? And then the traffic, I think, can be done, you know, I'm sure
What are the
that,
car park options in the area? Is that what?
no, I'm sure that the staff can visualise what the traffic movements are on a weekly basis in Tocumwal by just that, you know, whether it's some of the library staff, whether it's the visitor information, I'm sure we can get
Car
an accurate
parking.
account
Yeah, okay.
without spending $5,000.
So internal, for this
Yeah.
to be undertaken internally, so with no additional, sunken costs only, no additional budget allocation. So is our mover and
can I-
seconder happy with that? Councillor Dennis?
I was just going to say that the community also voted on the town concept plan, which includes parking in the.
There wasn't a
Development.
vote, it was a commentary,
Sorry,
consultation. Yeah.
commentary, wrong
Yeah.
wording.
Yeah.
Yes, so that, the parking is there.
And it'll be considered in this?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Stringer?
Do we need to do any of this?
Well, this is why we vote.
Why-
You can vote
why-
against it when you get your chance.
Why don't we just ask the community whether they want it moved or not?
That's what we'll be doing in the community consultation. That's the point of that. Yeah. All right. Mover and seconder.
Happy.
You're happy. Does anyone wish to speak against this motion? Did you wish to speak for it any more further? All right. Let's put it all in favour of this motion. Hands up. All right. Carried. Thank you. Good work, everyone. Okay, we're up to 8:11. All the fun items today, low pressure sewer charges. The recommendation is that council set the charge for low pressure sewer for 25-26 to be $450, with the previous charge of $627 to be rescinded, that we delegate to the Chief Executive Officer authority to establish a refund amount for properties charged under the 25-26 rate, that we include a call-out fee for staff to attend the low-pressure sewer maintenance requirements at an amount to be determined by the CEO for adoption in 26-27, and that we acknowledge additional documentation will be developed by council staff to support and implement changes to the low-pressure sewer service system, and responsibility for administrative arrangements is a CEO requirement. Do we have a mover? Councillor Nadakoa, a seconder. Councillor Brooker, any questions or comments? Councillor Nadakoa?
What happens if the properties that have the low pressure sewer systems are sold? Does Shire enter into a new agreement with the new property owner?
Yeah, so it's done like during conveyancing, so when the
Okay.
property is sold, so, but the new property owner will need to sign a new agreement.
Yeah, okay. And then with the refund that's suggested between the change, does that get refunded into the sewer fund or the general fund?
No, we're refunding the people that own the sewer.
Through you, Mayor. The refund will go through, so the money will come out of the sewer fund.
Sorry, that was the question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I, well,
Councillor
I
Henry.
just a side, top of the desk, how much are we looking like? Because it will be a budget reallocation.
How much?
Well, there's about 130 properties times 170, is that 170 odd dollars? However, some may choose to just take a credit, for example, on their account. Some might request a refund. That's part of the administrative arrangements that are delegated to myself.
So we're looking at a $23,000 $346.
Roughly around 25,000 will be refunded.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a very boring question.
Yeah.
In doing some research into low pressure sewage systems, sorry, is there a possibility, as I know there are still some, on some development applications that can still go ahead, can council set a standard system that they have to install so that it makes parts easier, makes repairs and maintenance easier? In other shires, I know that's what's been done, that's a system that's gone in, everyone's got the same stiff.
Yes, so in that area, we are looking at a standard LPS and what parts and materials for them to go into those areas, so yeah.
Okay. Would our mover and seconder like to speak in favour? of this?
I think anything that's going, from a work health and safety perspective, anything that's going to standardise that and protect the staff. We all know that there's lots of dog issues in various towns in the Shire, so we need to look after our own staff as much as the community getting the services that they require.
Okay, thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Okay, all in favour of that recommendation? Thank you, carried. We're up to 8:12. Would councillors like to continue on, or would you like a break?
Could we have a break?
We want a break?
Yep.
Shall we? Okay, so we will take a break for 5 minutes. Back to the council meeting of 18 March 2026. We're up to item 8.12, which is the water and sewer annual charge review. The recommendation is that council adopt a metre size-based structure for water and sewer access charges to apply from 1 July 2026. We note the vacant land access charge option has been reviewed and is not recommended for adoption, and we undertake targeted communication with affected water and sewer customers prior to implementation. Do we have a mover? Councillor Nardikoa, a seconder. Councillor Brooker, any questions or comments? Anyone wish to speak in favour or against? Okay, all in favour of that recommendation? Thank you, carried. All right, so I did have a question on that one. Can we clarify what's meant in item 2 of the recommendation? What are we not adopting?
Thank you. The response is that this was to highlight and have council resolve that we are not adopting a vacant land access charge as noted by the benchmarking. It's also was provided to enable council to have the options that should they wish to move an amendment to include this, that it was in the recommendation if required.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're up to 8.13, which is request for water assistance from golf clubs. The recommendation is that council receive and note the report on the request for water assistance from the Cobram Barooga and Finley golf clubs. Request a report to be provided to the April 2026 council meeting in response to the Cobram Barooga water sharing proposal of January 2026, and resolve not to provide assistance at less than market value to Cobram Barooga and Finley golf clubs at this time. Do we have a mover? Councillor Stringer, a seconder. Councillor Brooker. Any questions we have a question on the register first. If council was to sell its surplus water on the open market, would it incur brokerage fees? If so, what would the approximate fees applicable for the volume sought be? And if council was to sell directly, would those brokerage fees still be applicable?
Thank you. The response, if council has a specific buyer, such as FGC or CBGC, the most cost-efficient approach is generally a direct trade, avoiding brokerage commissions while only paying statutory processing fees. If council sells surplus water on the open market through a broker, brokerage fees would generally apply. These fees typically range from approximately 1.5 to 3% of the transaction value, or around $2 to $3 per megalitre, depending on the broker and the volume traded. If council were to sell water directly to FGC or CBGC through a private trade, brokerage fees would not normally apply, provided no broker is engaged. In this case, only the relevant Water New South Wales application and processing fees associated with the water trade would be payable. So at a water, for an example, if council sold 500 megalitres of temporary water allocation at $350 per megalitre, the trade value equals $175,000. Broker fees at 2 to 3% is between $3,500 and $5,250.
Okay, thank you, CEO. Any questions?
I'd like to move an amendment.
Go ahead.
I'd like to, I think they're two separate items for a start. So I'd like to think that in this recommendation that we remove point 1 and point 3 and we just leave point 2.
Yep.
And then we have a follow-up recommendation. I'll foreshadow a motion after this one.
Okay, so our mover and seconder, the amendment is to get rid of receiving and noting the report and resolving not. It's just to request a report in relation to Cobram Barooga.
Yeah. So that what if the mover and seconder were in agreement with what Councillor Hannan is proposing, what would be left would be that council request a report to be provided to the April 2026 council meeting in response to the Cobram Barooga water sharing proposal of January 2026, which was a proposal put to council officers back in 2026 by Cobram Barooga Golf Club and was spoken to tonight by their representative. That would be what the motion is before council. Therefore, if that was the motion and that was put and passed, we would still require some direction in relation to Finley Golf Club and Cobram Barooga Golf Club for the immediate requests through a subsequent motion.
That's what I foreshadowed, yep.
Okay. What do our mover and seconder feel about that? You want to stick with what you had? So you,
Sorry, no, I'd leave it the way it is
okay.
for the moment. That way it covers both of them.
And the seconder?
Well, the report still needs to be noted and, well, we need to make a decision on what we're going to do going forward, so as far as providing the assistance.
Okay, so you'll, Councillor Hannon, you would foreshadow something different? All right. Would you like to speak in favour of your recommendation, mover?
No, it's all on there.
Okay.
So we debate the amendment first.
Yeah, okay. Let's do the amendment.
Have we got a seconder for it?
It's seconder.
Can we clarify what the full amendment is now, because it's different to what you said?
What I said, sorry.
Well,
No, I just said that we remove point 1 and point 3 and leave point 2 and, sorry.
Okay.
And then I will foreshadow a second motion to deal with points 1 and 3 separately.
Okay. So you don't want to roll them into a new, all right. Got it, all right. So would you like to speak in favour of this one?
I need a seconder first.
The
before I can
seconder?
speak to the amendment.
It needs to be shown as an amendment
On the screen,
on the screen.
with different movers and seconders?
Correct.
Yep. It says amendment, but doesn't have the correct movers. Okay. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Healy. Yep. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the CEO has suggested that the amendment should also say to remove the recommendations 1 and 3. Are you happy with that?
Well, you can note the report, but at the end of the day, you can note the report. I don't have a problem with 1 staying, but 3 definitely.
And 3, what you're saying is, and deal with item 3 through a separate resolution. So can we note it in that fashion? Are you happy with that? Seconder, happy with that? Just waiting for that to come on the screen. Did you want the report later, Councillor Hannon, than April, so it could be a bit more thorough?
Yeah, I think the timeframe's pretty tight. I think from the information that we're given that it's not a
Yeah.
ready. They don't need it tomorrow, so
June? Oh, we've got a lot on in June with budgets, July.
Yeah, hopefully it's going to be a wet winter.
Seconder, happy with July? Okay. And wasn't the third item to deal with the other matters
Just remove that.
through a separate?
Well, no, we just
remove it.
If the amendment gets adopted,
Okay.
if the amendment passes, that then effectively becomes the motion and gets passed. That's sort of the way it works.
Okay, all right. Would you like to speak in favour?
Yeah, so in dealing with the amendment, so happy to note the reports that were received from both the 2 golf clubs, but my problem is that we're not dealing with apples and apples. We're dealing with apples and oranges here at the moment. And what I mean by that is saying that Cobram Barooga, and we have 2 golf clubs in our community that are both operated on a semi-commercial basis, that are non-for-profit. but do have revenue streams that, that the other two golf clubs don't. So I don't think we can discuss equitably, potential assistance in the water market in their entirety as one motion. I'd like to discuss that separately. Cobram Barooga obviously have a different agreement, and I think we can deal with that motion later. I think it's more pressing for the Finley Golf Club to be dealt with separately, because I think it's going to be a horses for courses thing if we don't get this right, in the next 3 to 5 years, the way that we're going to deal with these sort of requests. I think they're just going to continue to come back. And one of the things we probably need to do straight away is review the water sharing policy, water trading policy.
Did you want to add that to your? Okay, no worries. Anyone wish to speak against this recommendation? Okay, we'll put this one to the vote. All in favour? Can I see hands high, please? Thank you, carried. And you foreshadowed.
So now the amendment will become a motion.
Yeah, the amendment now becomes a motion. We actually vote twice.
Twice, okay, all right. Well, it's back again.
Can we put the amendment back up again, please? That'll now be the motion.
Okay, so we have a mover, Councillor Hannan, a seconder, Councillor Healy. All in favour of this? Thank you, carried. Now we had foreshadow in relation to the funding of water.
Yep. So in the foreshadowed motion, just we might need a little bit of go here. First of all, that we bring back the water policy for review.
Water trading policy.
Water trading policy, sorry. Explore stormwater options to supply Finley Golf Club. Consider a MOU between the Finley Golf Club and the Berrigan Shire. And allocate 80 megalitres of water to Finley Golf Club. Yeah, that'll be okay at the moment.
And how about dealing with the request from Cobram Barooga?
As a second item, again, I think that probably could be dealt with in the water sharing agreement in point 2 of the motion before, sorry.
I think they said they had an immediate requirement for water that we've got to deal with today.
Yeah, did they say that, or did they say that they?
It's
thought they had
immediate.
it?
It's a short-term issue and a long-term issue.
So the question I would ask is, can we sell water under the market value at the moment? I mean, the policy sort of gives us a little bit of leeway, and there is some precedence that we did sell water to the Barooga Sporties in 2020, I think it was, for $50 a meg.
Can we sort out this?
Yeah, I just want a question, and then
Sure.
I'll add to that
Yeah.
motion. Can we?
Yeah, so under the private sale, we can look to sell that at the rate we want, so yeah.
Yep, okay, all right. And point 5 would be to sell 100 megalitres of water to the Barooga Golf Club, Barooga Sporty, sorry, at $100 a megalitre. $100 per megalitre.
Through the mayor. I just want to make sure this is this financial year, or if it's looking to go into next financial year. And if it's a proportion of 50 megalitres this financial year and 50 megalitres for summer coming on this year, I just need to understand, because we have cut-off times for the allocations.
Correct.
Yeah.
I believe they said they need the water in the next 2 weeks. So this is for the next 2 weeks, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But both, just through you, Mayor, the requests were both immediate. So councillors, in considering this particular resolution as it stands, needs to understand that we need to move pretty quickly on this. Otherwise, really, it's going to be redundant from the club's perspectives.
Yep, so we need to actually deal with, so we've got a mover. Do we have a seconder?
Yep.
Councillor Healy, okay. Did you have a question, Councillor Natikawa?
Just a question with your intent, Matt, Councillor Hannan. So we're giving Finley the water and we're selling to Cobram?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. All right, Councillor Hannan, would you like to?
And noting that the sale of the water is well under market value at the moment.
And the current value is around 300.
Yeah, correct.
Yep. And if you were to consider the brokerage, it's 300 less 3%, so not that much. Okay. Councillor Hannan, would you like to speak to this? And then we'll see if anyone wants to speak.
No, happy to speak to it. Just understanding that obviously the capacity of the volunteer golf clubs are a lot more constrained than what it is for the, if I could call them commercial golf clubs, which are not-for-profit. We have supported Barooga Sporties, and this is by no means derogatory, but we've supported them in a lot of ventures, and we have an MOU, as been stated by the CEO who presented today. However, they do have the capacity to gain more revenue, whether it's through gaming or whether it's through participation, golf packages, all that sort of stuff that the Finley Golf Club just will never have. They'll never have. We know the impacts of COVID, what they had on our communities, and the uptake in golf was exponential at that time, in that period of time. I think we do need to look at trying to future-proof these two golf clubs at the moment, and I'd suggest after this motion, whether it gets up or lapses, that the other two golf clubs won't be too far away in some way, shape or form either. We have invested a lot of money in sports tourism over a long period of time because something that the Berrigan Shire hasn't done quite well is being able to promote tourism. We have given money to other organisations to promote this on our behalf. Finley, as I said, is a different, my look at it is Finley's different because of the capacity to create more revenue with the volunteer base as opposed to what Barooga Sporties' capacity is, noting that Barooga has been a long supporter of the rec reserve that we do, that they do manage in partnership with the Recreation Committee on our behalf. That'll do for the time being.
Okay, Councillor Natikawa, did you have a question or did you?
Just wanting a clarification in the actual motion.
Yeah.
Like a time frame around the exploring the stormwater option and a report coming back to council. And also noting that we're donating the 80 meg to the Finley Golf Club rather than just allocating to differentiate
Allocating
between,
at no cost.
Yeah, something to denote that it's at no cost.
So the sorry.
Go ahead.
Councillor, around the stormwater, we're currently, as Tony indicated with Barooga, we're looking at options there, and it's a development with a sedimentation basin and that sort of stuff, and looking to have stormwater going off there. In regard to Finley, we do have open drains around that intersection towards the Finley there that would go to a dam further out to the east. So we will look at that. Then we'll understand around infrastructure and grants availability around these sort of things going forward to develop something in that line of space.
Yeah, okay.
But I can't give you a timeline.
No, that's, I just didn't want it to just fall off the radar and not ever actually come back with what the options are.
Resource issues at the moment and in a financial year, so they'll be looking to cover off a lot of these projects before getting back onto that, so yeah.
Fully appreciate that, thank you.
Okay, anyone wish to speak against this? Councillor Brooker?
I suppose my biggest issue is I don't have an issue with gifting water to Finley. I understand the benefit they have in the community and their limited resources they have in making more available. I did ask the question at the start as to what their water entitlements were. Finley's is general allocation. The season is looking like it's going to open with 0% to start with, so they're not going to have any water. If we give this to them now, whatever they don't use now, they will be able to carry over, because they can carry over up to 50% of their allocation. Sporties, on the other hand, has high security groundwater and general security. Their high security water, they're 97% guaranteed. It's just almost, it's one under town water. So they're guaranteed to at least start with water. I do understand they bring a lot of tourism, but it's not the first time they've come and said, can we have water for cheap? I think $100 a meg is way too cheap. Even given, you know, they do a lot for the community, they do a lot for the rec reserve. As I said, if they put their hand out and said, we're desperate for some water, would anyone help? As a farmer, I'd be happy to give a meg of water to either Finley or, you know, if they were desperate. A meg of water to me, you know, I'm paying $370 meg for it, but, you know, I'm happy to gift 1 meg. It's a tax donation. You know, we're asking the council to give 100 megs of water at 200, and a current market price today was $327. It's a third of the market price. I believe it's way too cheap.
How much do you think is a reasonable?
I believe 200 would be a reasonable price. That's 2/3 of the current price. You've got to think of all the other people out there who need water and are paying ridiculous amounts of money for it. Yeah, that's a personal opinion. Like, I know what I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
And how would the other farmers in the community, or, you know, the other water users in the community feel knowing that, you know, we've let them have it for a third of the going price.
Okay.
Look, I mean, in your right to make an amendment, there's no worries. That's the motion that's there at the moment. I wouldn't discourage you or encourage you to do it either way. The only thing I would say is that, obviously, you know, and this is, again, contentious, I suppose, but as you know, the golf club doesn't have a choice. They have to water their golf courses. So they don't have a choice to not water it. But as I said earlier, if you know, you're right as a councillor to make an amendment there.
Yeah, and there's been other, you know, forward water allocations that Murray Irrigation had out that they were eligible to apply for, guaranteed water for the start of the season for the next 2 years. I've got some figures on those, but there were 60 parcels of water given, which was 20,000 given up for sale. It was 20,000 megalitres. They had 170 customers register with 48 participants and 23 people or landholders secured water in that. So there was an opportunity. Again, the average price for that was $373.03 per meg.
So, Councillor Brooker, did you want to move an amendment?
I personally believe that $100 is just way too cheap.
So the only way we can change that from the current thing in front of us is if you move an amendment and you get a seconder.
Yep.
So you'll move it
I'd like to move it
to 200,
200.
and the rest should be...
Yep.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Stringer. All right. Let's now put the amendment.
Just wait till it comes on the screen.
Just waiting for the screen to update. Can people at home see the screen? Otherwise, it looks like we're just looking at one another. Okay, all right. All right, so that's the amendment which changes from 100 to 200 on item 5 there. So firstly, We're voting on the amendment, not on the whole thing. So all in favour of the amendment, please raise your hands up. Carried. All right. Now the motion is the amended motion. Making me work hard today, bloody hell. All right. Does anyone else wish to speak in favour of what we've got in front of us? This is not the right one, is it?
No, it's not.
Here we go. So does anyone else wish to speak in favour? Councillor Natikoa?
Can we just stipulate that it's just through private sale, so we're not paying the brokerage fees? That was all, yeah.
If the mover and seconder were okay with that, we would add a point 6 to say that
Direct
this is to
transaction.
be a direct transaction.
Through the water exchange.
Direct transaction
Slash
process to be undertaken.
All right, mover and seconder, happy with that. Okay. Anything else? Anyone wish to speak against? All right, we'll put it now. So all in favour, hands up high, please. Thank you, carried. All right, we're through our reports. We have no notices of motion today and no confidential matters. We have a question with notice that I submitted in relation to councillor allowance overpayments. There were 2 councillors, myself and one other, who were overpaid our last councillor allowance. And I'd just clarify that the amount of overpayment was in the region of $12,000 and I repaid that amount to council within 24 hours. Does anyone have any questions or comments in relation to that matter? I wanted it on the record for obvious reasons. Thank you. All right. I don't know where the mayoral report fits in this meeting pack. It's not in here, but anyway, we'll do it anyway. So on the 18th of February, I travelled to Yarrawonga for the Yarrawonga Mulwala tourism launch. They've got a new logo. I was interested to hear that Federation is not supporting them currently. Don't know what's going on there. 19th of February in Tokemall, I attended a meeting in relation to dementia and potential service assistance from Murrumbidgee Local Health District, making a room available for some support services. Really, it's only in the formative stage, and the group are working through properly articulating what it is that they're after. It's all a bit mashed up together, and I'm trying to get them streamlined, so they're working on that. 26th of February, had some online interviews for our CEO role. 27th of February, there was an online event with Ramjo about the upcoming submission for the Murray-Darling Basin Plan. I met with a group called NEM about the Murray-Darling Basin Plan review, and they had some interesting points to make. 4th of March, again, we had our workshop and CEO recruitment. 5th of March, I went to Jerilderie and Ramjo were having, it was called a consultation with the Murray-Darling Basin Authority. However, they seem to think their consultations take the form of a question and answer workshop. I was not impressed, and I've subsequently sent a letter through to Senator Deborah O'Neill, Senator for New South Wales, and asked that she passed on my feedback regarding the manner in which the CEO of Murray-Darling Basin Authority conducted that consultation. Response I have received back is that the review is genuine and that we should put our submissions in writing. And I would agree with that sentiment, and we should send our submission to as many people as we can to get that on the record. Tokemall. International Women's Day on the 8th of March. Well done to Merrin and the library team. It was really good at the golf club. The catering was spot on. The speaker was really good. Over 100 women on a Sunday on a Victorian long weekend. So it was very good. We had our extraordinary council meeting in Berrigan on 10th of March. On the 12th of March, I drove to Griffith and I spoke at the public inquiry relating to a proposal about the Murrumbidgee Local Health District. I'd like a shout out to both Lynn and to Keelan, who did a ripper job getting our media out, and we were the lead story on ABC Radio, not Griffith Hospital, from Shepparton all the way to Griffith, across to Albury and in Wagga. So we pretty much smashed it. So that was pretty good. And I think we will see some positives coming out of that. I made some public comments about a certain candidate who left as I went to speak, and she's not too impressed with me, but you know. See, she's coming next week. Anyway, attended a meeting with one of the leadership team at Sun Valley in Baruga, and then I had the council meeting today. That's my attendances. And then there is one other thing I'll mention. So I was informed actually in the car on the way back from Griffith that I've been appointed as a trustee of the A.R. Blewett Memorial Trust, representing rural and country councils. If you don't know who the trust is, there are annual awards for excellence in local government, and the trust are the judging panel for that. And they have one councillor from metros, one from rural. You can be past or present up to 5 years past, and one general manager. And so I was very fortunate to be appointed by the President of Local Government New South Wales for the rural representative. So that's quite an honour for us. And I think it'll be a great opportunity to see what other people are doing in other places and bring all the great ideas back to us. So could I get someone to move my report, please? Councillor Nardikoa, second Councillor Dennis, all in favour in receiving that. Thank you. I'll go around the room for our councillor reports. Councillor Nardikoa.
So since the last meeting, we had the CEO interviews. Then we've had our development session, our extraordinary council meeting, and then today I had the Resolve training, and then today's meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis.
I had the absolute pleasure to go to the Tocumwal Hospital Garden opening with the Local Health Advisory Committee and the funding supporters, and what a great initiative. It was really pleasant to be there. Great idea.
Excellent. Councillor Hannan.
No, just the statutory meetings and the extraordinary meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Stringer.
Yeah, just the normal meetings and the training one for the Resolve. And with Councillor Dennis, I went to the opening of the garden at the Toke Hospital. It was the women organising that. They've done a great job.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it looks brilliant.
Excellent. Thank you. Councillor Healy.
In addition to the council workshop and extraordinary meeting, I attended the Berrigan Conservation and Tidy Towns meeting last week.
Excellent. Councillor Brooker.
Yep, so in addition to the development sessions and the council meetings, I attended the RFS Federation's own liaison meeting on the 23rd of February online, and I also attended on the 3rd of March the meeting with the NEM group in Baruga.
Excellent. Thank you. So that concludes our ordinary council meeting of 18 March 2026. Our next ordinary council meeting, the agenda's got the wrong time on it, but it will be held on the 15th of April from 9 a.m. here in the council chambers. Thank you, everyone.